there's been at least 818,000 jobs added over the past year that didn't actually exist. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Bureau of Labor Statistics revising, quote unquote, 818,000 jobs away from their 12-month job report. So let me just tell you what's happening. Then we're going to get to a few videos and articles and whatnot. From April 23 to March 24, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS for short, said that 2.9 million jobs are added into the U.S. economy. They, quote unquote, revised that down to 2.1 million, which is a 30% drop and 818,000 jobs that didn't actually exist. And the crazy part is that these jobs were in the productive sectors of the economy. And you need that for hyperinflation to kind of be dealt with. The issue with hyperinflation is too much money printing, too much free money with no productivity to match it, which is going to create a higher demand on goods and services. And the only natural thing to do when you have a demand that outpaces production is to raise the price. And that's what's happening all over the USA and, quite frankly, all over the world. Now, before we get into some videos, let's check out an article right here. This is New York Post yesterday. You see what it says. Labor Department's 818,000 vanished jobs expose Democrats' empty economic agenda. Now, this has got to hurt Kamala Harris, right? Because these jobs were revised under her watch. It's the Biden-Harris administration, right? It's weird because people say that when they voted for Joe Biden, they also voted for Kamala. Okay, cool. So if you also voted for Kamala, then Kamala must also face the penalty for whatever her administration does that doesn't work out very well. And in this case, it's got to be the economics. So if you are wanting things to change economically for you, why would you vote for the person who does not have a great track record when it comes to economics in the White House? Why put that very same person back in the White House? How are things going to change when she goes from vice president to president, considering that it'll probably be much of the very same players in the background really running the show? Y'all just let me know. Now, before we go any further, let's get into this. This is Biden's Commerce Secretary, Gia Raimondo, and she says she doesn't believe these new numbers. She doesn't believe the government data, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. She doesn't believe that when it comes to the revised numbers that I just mentioned. Let's go ahead and check this out. And RIP in advance to the headphone users.
Hear that. Do you potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
When you
So basically what's happening here, deny. You're saying you don't believe it because Trump said it, and Trump is a liar, I suppose, in the eyes of the media and the eyes of the left. That's their whole thing they're running with. Oh, Trump lied. That's your thing you want to say, right? Okay, cool. Now, when they say on ABC that, this comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I don't believe that. Okay, so who are you going to believe? Because the Bureau of Labor Statistics are the same people that put out job numbers that could be positive. So do you believe it then when it's positive, but then when it's negative, all of a sudden Trump's a liar and Orange Man bad? Is that how that works? Pretty interesting. Let's keep on going here. Now, shout out to, what's my man's name? Peter St. Onge, PhD. I think I said Professor Stange, Prof. Stange during a live stream, but let's see what he's got to say about the whole 800,000 jobs thing. Check it out.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics just blithely admitted nearly 1 million jobs are fake. Many of us have been warning that the jobs numbers were suspect because ever since Biden took over, the official numbers have not matched the so-called household survey that actually asks people if they have a job. Now, with the prospect of new management in sight, the BLS is starting to confess in the largest revision since the 2008 financial crisis. In fact, the second largest jobs revision in history.
Now, that was interesting what he said about the incoming administration and they're trying to get out ahead of it. That's what it sounds like. Maybe you can hide these numbers under one particular team because they're going to do their best to suppress it with you. But then when you get new guys in there, all of a sudden, hey, we're going to look at this stuff and see if it's legitimate. And if it's illegitimate, then we're going to call you out on it. That's kind of what it seems like to me. Maybe y'all think differently. Let me know in the comments.
So going to the numbers, the BLS just admitted 818,000 jobs are fake. They are made up. Hardest hit were manufacturing, retail, leisure, think fast food and hotels, and professional services, think bookkeepers, janitors, and office workers. So 115,000 manufacturing jobs were fake, 129,000 retail, 150,000 leisure and hospitality, and 358,000 professional jobs. Hilariously, there was one big job category that had no revisions: government jobs. Our army of 23 million government workers are safe. They lost not one man. Every one of those 818,000 lost jobs were in the productive parts of our economy.
Now, let's pause right here. That was very telling. So no government jobs were lost. When society is struggling, when normal people are struggling with their jobs and with the cost of living and whatnot, that does not seem to be the case with the government. Northern Virginia, this is one of the most prosperous areas in our nation. And you got to ask yourself, why are they so prosperous? Do they have a big tech industry like the Bay Area, California? Do they produce ships? Do they, like, what do they do in the DC metro area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC itself? Well, it's you, the taxpayer. You are the biggest industry in the DC metro area, the DMV as they call it. All that government money goes to Capitol Hill first and then disperses in the immediate surrounding area for a lot of useless alphabet letter organizations. Those jobs are totally safe, and they keep adding more and more. Okay, the Bureau of this, the Bureau of that, this piece of red tape bureaucracy, all these different agencies that don't really make government more productive. All they do is make government more expensive. And of course, we have other countries we take care of, but we have regular citizens over here struggling. And then they want to lie about the jobs to make us feel like everything's all right while we fund everything else aside from the American citizens who are funding the government itself. All right, let's keep on rocking and rolling. Shout out to Peter St. Orange, if I'm saying your name correctly. Here's a little bit more.
We've watched the Biden administration and now really effectively the Harris administration argue that they've been creating jobs hand over fist, just to realize that every single month they keep revising down the last month's job total. And now what we're learning is 800,000 of those jobs were manufactured jobs that have been revised down in a stunning report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And that 800,000 is just what they're admitting to. Their misunderstanding of how many real businesses were created might be closer to 5 million. So that tracks more of what people are feeling back home, which is the government printed trillions of dollars, caused inflation that has made prices jump over 20%, much more for things like gas and food that people use every day. And they're saying that the economy is good on the backs of perhaps not 800,000, but perhaps millions of jobs that never existed anywhere other than on paper, and to steal that new printed money away from taxpayers. This is the kind of racket the government does.
So there you have it. There you have it. That's what's going on. At least 800,000 jobs, but probably more than that didn't even exist. And also, how many of these new jobs they say that were created were going to actual American citizens? How many of them go to the so-called migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, illegal aliens, criminal aliens, whatever you want to call them, whatever they identify as? Okay, they could be a getaway identifying as an asylum seeker. What time is your court date, sir? And how many kids you didn't have in America to the point where you can't get deported? You got Anchor Baby. You got a whole Anchor Baby basketball team, a 5 starting and then a couple on the bench to play all the positions. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to everyone who knows that the job numbers, a lot of these numbers are fake. They're misleading. They don't tell the full story. Even if it was 2.9 million jobs, how many of these jobs pay well? How many of these jobs went to illegal aliens up under the table? How many of these jobs are going to be what they were previously? Are they keeping up with the cost of living, with inflation? And I'm not saying the jobs have to do that, but if the jobs aren't doing that, that's a problem. That is a big problem, because that's going to just create a much more difficult situation for the regular, average, everyday person trying to go to work every day and squeaking out a living. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's happening here with the jobs? At least, bare minimum, 818,000 jobs were so-called revised from the jobs report from April 23 to, I believe it was March 24 or March 24, April 23. Basically, a 12-month period from 23 to 24. They said 2.9 million jobs were created. Then they revised it to 2.1, a 30% drop. 800,000 jobs lost. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I am not in the least bit surprised. I figured that we would see this day. I figured we would see this day when they come out and tell at least some of the truth about these so-called jobs that were created. Now let's go a little bit deeper. How much are these jobs paying? What's the inflation compared to the wages? If you got a 20-30% inflation rate on certain things or in general in society, and jobs are paying the same thing they did before the inflation, maybe a tad bit more, but not much more to keep up with the higher cost of living, we got a problem. We got a big problem. And the problem is being worsened when you import the illegal aliens who are now competing with natural born citizens for resources and housing and things of this nature. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.